Love is like a bomb, 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 Love is like a
Yeah, I'm sitting here looking at the Bleacher Report, and this just came up. Matt Jokel, last year's backup quarterback at Texas A&M, is transferring out of the program. This is reported by Barrett Saley from Bleacher Report, and he has confirmed it with head coach Kevin Sumlin, who wished Jokel the best.
Well, he was fighting for the starting position, wasn't he?
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, no, it is. They don't have a quarterback now because Kenny Hill was. I'm not Kenny Hill. Kenny Hill and Kyle Allen. Kyle Allen was the number one quarterback until he got arrested for. Was it public intoxication last week? They found him passed out in the flower bed or something.
Oh yes,
outside the bar.
yes.
He got arrested for underage drinking, and yeah, he was the one they found passed out in the plants outside the bar. So now they don't have a quarterback.
Ooh. So there's something going on at Texas A&M about a quarterback right now.
Well, and that Jokel kid was pretty good. Now he's not there, so.
And what are we, about 130 days away from kickoff?
Yeah, and they don't have a quarterback.
Ooh, and they got their spring game coming up, not this week, but next week, don't they?
Mm-hmm. That's
wide open positions right there.
That's something that
Johnny Football can't come back.
No. Well, last week the a lawyer is explaining the possible impact of the federal investigation of the Jameis Winston case. The U.S. Department of Education's Office for Civil Rights opened an investigation into Florida State's handling of the Jameis Winston rape case, and they've come to find out. The New York Times is reporting that there really wasn't an investigation by the police department or the school.
It was a hush-hush thing.
Yeah, they said that the report first came out on December the 7th, 2012, with the girl accusing Jameis Winston of rape, and we didn't hear anything about it until November of 2013. And then 1 month later, it was announced that there wouldn't be any charges brought against Winston because there wasn't enough evidence. But it's unclear how Florida State handled the investigation, so the Department of Education is now looking into it, and what they're looking for is how they handled the case and what they did, and if it
cut that funding off.
And if it met the obligations to the Title IX program, which if they find that they didn't do the right thing, they could lose their federal funding for the school. And is that going to be worth going through all that, or
for the national? Sometimes these schools will throw everything away for that national championship.
Well, it sounds like Florida State did.
Yes.
And it was just kind of iffy to me as I was just wondering, how did this, the girl come out and said it, and they found DNA from him in her underwear. So obviously they had done something, but they just said they couldn't prove it was rape.
And obviously they weren't trying to prove it was anything.
Yeah, I know they were trying to keep it hush-hush. Sounds like until
they need this boy to play football.
Until she went public with it, because they weren't doing anything about it.
Well, I hope if that's the case, they do get caught, because nobody's above the law.
Well, they're saying that Winston never said anything about it. He was brought into a room to be questioned, but he never answered any questions about it. And so now they're saying he may have to say something in this federal investigation. They said he could be legally obligated to cooperate in the investigation. So who knows what's going to happen? I know that he's been acquitted of it, or he's been.
Well, I know they badmouthed the girl enough.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they just ran her in the ground.
Yeah.
And I guess that's how you do that. If you want to make your quarterback look good, you badmouth the accuser.
Yeah.
But you don't cover up a crime.
No, and I know it's probably happened other places besides Florida State that's covering up for football players.
Oh
but,
yeah.
I don't know if it's been anything like that. You know, if something that big has been.
Well, that goes back to
covered up.
look at the problems Penn State's had just because of a few cover-ups.
Yeah,
I mean, good grief, it just about ruined Penn State.
yeah,
And they're still paying for it.
yeah. They are. But speaking of Penn State, they are the new king of the Big Ten, I would say, because most of the Big Ten had their spring games this past weekend. Michigan brought in a blistering 15,000 fans to watch their game
In that big old stadium.
in that big old stadium. Penn State had 71,000.
See, that's behind your school right there. And
That's
they're on
right.
probation.
Yeah,
I mean, that fires me up.
yeah.
And Franklin has got everybody in
They
Pennsylvania.
love him.
They do. I mean, he's got a job for life, and he turned this program around this year, and he's getting the recruits. They're coming knowing that they're on probation.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's good for Penn State to have Tony Franklin with them now.
Well, James Franklin said that he had challenged
James Franklin, not Tony. Tony was a quarterback at Missouri. I'm sorry. Maybe Tony will go help him.
He had challenged the stands to fill the fans at Penn State to fill the stadium. They had 72,000 plus at the spring game, and Ohio State quarterback Braxton Miller was mocking Michigan. Ohio State had 61,058 at their spring game, and like I said a while ago, Michigan had 15,000. Nebraska had 61,772, which I think is good for Bo Pelini.
Yes, and Nebraska's got a good fan base.
Yeah.
I mean, they do. They've had it for a while, and they're a team that I think will be back.
Georgia had 46,000. Tennessee had 68,548, and Oklahoma had 43,500. So, out of all those schools, Penn State had over 72,000 fans.
Great.
There. I'm telling you, Penn State will. If they don't win them all this year, it won't be long until Penn State's in this 4-team playoff.
You're not kidding. And I myself am going to the Alabama game this week.
Yeah, we're going to send Andy to cover the Alabama A-Day game.
And I'm looking forward to that. I mean, I know we're expecting a big turnout, and I'm just looking forward to being on the campus down there. And I'm going to get some interviews. I want to talk to some fans. I want to eat some ribs. Auburn's got their game, and I know they're going to have a good turnout because Auburn's fired up right now.
Yeah, I'm going to try to go to that one. So next week we're going to cover the A-Day games for Alabama and Auburn, and try to cover the ACC conference.
Yeah, we can work the ACC because they're a pretty weak conference. But we can work them in with our 8-day games. And any of you conferences people out there that I'm making getting you fired up, please let us know.
Yeah.
We want to fire you up.
And we've said it several times. We want to talk about other things than the SEC, but there's not a lot to talk about outside the SEC.
Yeah, I mean,
When we've covered these other conferences, and
you don't hear anything about the Pac-12. I mean,
the Sun Belt or the ACC or.
But it goes to show SEC football rules.
And
I mean,
it will.
it's a year-long process down here. I mean, if you think these coaches or anybody takes a week off, we don't take any time off down here.
No.
I mean, the fans don't take any time off. We're still bickering, and I love it.
Well, thanks again for listening, and we hope you listen next week.
Thank you very much.
See you later. Well, football season's over, and it's everybody's favorite season now. It's tax season. Hey, go by and see our friends Conan Smith PC in Rainbow City, Alabama for all your accounting needs, your corporate, partnership, individual income tax preparation, your monthly payroll, and accounting services. Go by and see them at 3421 Rainbow Parkway, Rainbow City, Alabama. Or give them a call at 256-413-3057.